of the musicians that made them, and a wide array of interesting facts in general. It's freeform radio at its finest. Hear what you rarely hear anywhere else here on Radio Free Saturday mornings, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. every Saturday on KSJE.
Minutes past 8 o'clock. It is Thursday morning, the 24th day of October, 2024. Good morning, everyone. I'm Scott Micklin, and thanks for tuning in to KSJE 90.9 FM over the air right here in San Juan County, New Mexico. In Durango, Colorado, we broadcast at 103.3 FM. And if you're anywhere else on the planet, you're listening to us from our website, streaming all the time at KSJE.com. Also want to welcome our viewers this morning who are joining us. The video of this program is streaming out live to the KSJE Facebook page and also to our YouTube channel. So welcome aboard, everyone. I am so glad that you're joining us. Coming up in the next few moments, my guest from the San Juan County Partnership talking about the 2024 needs assessment that has just been released for San Juan County. A really interesting document, and we'll get into that with my guest in the next few moments here on KSJE Today. Then later on this morning, we'll be talking with Songtree Piochi. She is a candidate running for State Senate in District 2. She is my guest at 8:50 a.m., probably more around 8:45 on KSJE this morning. Don't forget, Mick Hess will be here, 9:06, Roving with the Arts, and he will have a great classical music program for us next hour here on the program. Our KSJE On the Road series continues, of course. You can check those programs out on the KSJE Facebook page and YouTube channel. We took you out to the San Juan County Film Backlot recently. That's really interesting to take a look at. And also, of course, behind the scenes at Young Frankenstein, entering its second week at the Farmington Civic Center with performances tonight, of course, through Saturday night and then a Sunday matinee. So you can check out behind the scenes for our KSJE On the Road programs on Facebook and on YouTube. Outside our studios here at San Juan College, it is 43 degrees with sunny skies. We're expecting sunshine, about 20 degrees warmer by this afternoon, a high of 63. Clear skies overnight, the low 42. It'll be sunny and 63 again tomorrow, sunny and 69 on Friday and Saturday, partly sunny and 70 by Sunday, 69 on Monday, and look at that, maybe a chance of some showers and cooler weather coming in on Tuesday. Back with my guest with more right after this on KSJE. KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center. The caregivers of San Juan Regional Medical Center are committed to bettering the quality of life, health, and care of individuals, families, and our communities. Life is their sacred trust. Better is their mission. Here is their home. San Juan Regional Medical Center, improving the health of the Four Corners since 1910. And back in Studio A this morning with my guests, as I mentioned, from the San Juan County Partnership. We have Executive Director Anna Krutsky is here with me this morning. Welcome back to KSJE. It's always great to have you here.
Thanks so much, Scott. It's always good to be here.
Yeah, and we're talking about the needs assessment, which is a major report that the partnership does every 4 years.
Correct. So, yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah.
And it tells you a lot. It tells us a lot.
It tells us a lot about what the community sees the needs are. And,
right.
You know, and how we could possibly respond to those needs.
Interesting. And how long has the partnership been doing this? Because the partnership's been taking the lead role in this for a long time.
Absolutely. So the partnership has been completing a comprehensive needs assessment since 1992, every 4 years.
Okay.
So there have been a couple of years where there's been a little bit of a smaller one. In 2020, we did do one that was service provider focused and not as not community wide.
Right.
But again,
I'm trying to remember what was going on in 2020.
Yeah, we
a
tried
small health pandemic was happening that year,
Exactly.
but you still, the show must go on kind of thing. You still did a
Absolutely.
assessment that year, and so this tells us a lot of things that we'll get into, I know, in a few minutes. But I think for me as kind of a data nerd, it's really interesting to kind of drill down and see kind of what is going on. And this is a local survey, and so sometimes we see things statewide or maybe from the major population centers, but this is really from San Juan County residents, about San Juan County residents, and what San Juan County residents say they need or want in their communities.
Absolutely. So first I'll say that the needs assessment was commissioned by San Juan County, the City of Farmington, San Juan United Way, and the San Juan Health Council. So they all contributed financially to be able to support this project. And it took us 10 months. So from start to finish. Yeah. So it's quite a feat. And it is a pretty significant document.
How many people did you talk to with this one? This was one of the largest participants that you've ever had, right?
It was the largest participant group we have ever had. So we actually connected with well over 2,000, but we received completed responses by 1,600 individuals.
Okay.
So that is more than we've ever done before.
Right.
And it included approximately 1,400 who completed the survey online, and then we had 200 paper surveys that we were able to complete.
Nice.
Because not everybody has access to online.
Right.
So we wanted to make sure that we incorporated the entire county.
Right.
Not, so that included
not just the online
right
part.
So
right.
that included parts of the Navajo Nation. So we did go out and do paper surveys at many of the chapter houses and several events that were happening. And that would have been in the around right before Christmas in
late last year, around this time, maybe
around this time,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Last year.
Got it. And so for folks who deal with surveys or who look at surveys or know about surveys, the larger your sample size, I guess, the better the results are, kind of thing, right?
Absolutely.
And so that
Right.
higher number of respondents is significant.
Yeah. So we wanted to make sure that we received feedback from every zip code in the county.
Okay.
And so if you look at the needs assessment, which you can see on sjcpartnership.org,
It's already on your website.
It's on the
Okay.
website.
Follow along at home, everyone, if you'd like to.
Exactly. It is accessible to everyone. You can download it or you can print it. And if you are unable to do either of those things and you would like a copy, please come to the office and I will print you a copy.
Okay. I mean, it is lengthy.
It is lengthy.
I mean, in a good way, because
Yes.
there's a lot of things you can drill down and read about and see what people are saying in different communities, compare the things people are saying, which is what we're going to do this morning in a little bit, what they're saying the needs are in different communities, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly.
Okay.
So what we did was we did collect those paper surveys. We also did key informant surveys.
Right.
And then we conducted six structured focus groups with stakeholders and community leaders on specific topics, such as crime, education, transportation, and things of that nature.
And those things have kind of come to the top of previous needs assessments too,
Absolutely.
haven't they not?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yes, and that way we get a really and thus the whole comprehensive language
Right.
that we're using. So by gathering data from multiple sources, we get a really clear picture. And we also, one of the things that was really striking about this particular needs assessment is that we received a lot of public comment, which is included
Okay.
in the assessment.
Nice.
So you can read those comments, and people have great ideas. They talk just about, how much they appreciate the community, and threw out things that they thought that might help deal with some of the issues that we're
Nice.
looking at.
Well, I like that too. It's not just talking about maybe the perceived problems in the community. There's also a section about what's working.
Exactly. We did come from a strengths-based focus this time around, so a lot of the questions we asked and a lot of what we gathered was about what's really working, so that we don't duplicate efforts that are already working. So we know how well we work together as a community, and that was really highlighted in this. And that's one of the things I get really excited about is, what can we do collectively? Because none of us can solve problems of this nature alone. It's just
Right.
it's not feasible.
And
So-
we have seen time after time, it seems to me, that you see maybe the cities of Farmington, Aztec, Bloomfield, and the county, and Kirtland, and the Navajo Nation kind of coming together
Yes.
to work on these things, whatever
Yes.
they are, these community issues, problems, concerns. And it's kind of nice that the public recognizes that.
Yes, exactly. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
And this document is meant to be utilized by everybody in the community to bring more funding, to have a greater understanding using this data, which is highly, it is the gold standard for any, so if you're writing a grant,
Right.
For governments when they are looking for specific funding or need to address a particular issue, they can pull data from this document and say, hey, this
Right.
is, this is what we're seeing. These are the sources that we're utilizing, and this is what we need.
Right. How much do you charge for that? You don't, is the point. You don't.
Exactly. No, this is free
Yes.
for everybody.
Right.
Yes, it did take us, I did have to do a little bit of fundraising.
Sure.
Thus, the
Well,
people
and
who
those
sponsored
supporters
it.
that you mentioned earlier
Exactly.
paid for the footwork, if you will, to do all this
Exactly.
and gather all this data. But then
Exactly.
you turn around and make it transparent on your website and offer it to any other organization, for-profit, nonprofit, that wants to use it
Any
for
individual.
grant opportunities or whatever.
Exactly.
And that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So, and because you've been doing it for so long, my other point I wanted to make too was that you can kind of look and compare, I guess, and contrast over the decades now what has kind of risen to the top of some of the community concerns and needs, and it's not the same. It's kind of interesting to me that it's not the same over 30 years-ish.
Absolutely.
It does change from time to time.
There are some great comparisons, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because we don't have all day to talk about this.
Right.
But there's some great comparisons, especially between 2016 and 2024, and
Sure.
what has changed and what's coming to the
Kind of
surface.
pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, all that
Exactly.
stuff. So let's dig into it a
Yeah.
little bit.
So
Buckle up, audience, because here we go. Lots of graphs that we're going to
Yes.
share, but really interesting. And if you can't see it very well, we'll try to explain it a bit as we talk about it. But this is kind of the I guess the overall needs assessment, right?
Correct.
This is what kind of rose to the top.
Right. So some of the top issues that were on people's minds are reducing violent crime. A lot of these things are not going to be surprises to people.
Right.
And tending to the emerging needs of education, as well as employment in the economy, housing, and mental health services. So those were the ones that were identified at the top of the list, sort of the 5 top categories.
Got you. And just for folks watching, the colors, kind of the dark orange there is the high priority answers that folks gave.
Correct.
And then you fall into kind of the gold, which is moderate priority, and then kind of greenish is kind of a low priority, and then blue is not a priority, and gray is don't know. But as you can see, there's a lot of orange on this graph, and so that's kind of where you come from and how these are rated to get to the top of the
Exactly.
list. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. And so moving on, community needs and other issues, and you were able to kind of break it down from different residents, different geographical areas
Yes.
in the county, right? And so Farmington residents, Kirtland-Fruitland residents, we're seeing on the screen right now, they both said violent crime was their number one concern.
Yes, exactly.
Got it. And then in Farmington, it was public education that was second. Kirtland-Fruitland was access to healthy food and clean water. That's interesting to me, too. Not a grocery store in the Kirtland-Fruitland
There
area
is
that
not.
I know of.
No,
And
it's
so-
it's mostly convenience stores. So you have to travel in order to get those needs met.
Got you.
So transportation is also one of the things has popped up
Right.
as a pretty important issue as well in order to access services, food, and
Sure.
yeah.
All those different types of things.
Yeah.
Got it.
So one of the things that I wanted to point out were what the community recognizes community strengths as well. So, and this was this is one place where there was an interesting comparison between 2016 and 2024.
Okay.
So for getting through, there was a greater recognition and appreciation for each other,
Oh.
for getting through difficult times. I think
I wonder
you
what
know
that was. Yeah, right. Okay.
Exactly. And for supportive, caring people across the county in general. So that was a really nice to see.
Right.
That there is this recognition that there are, most folks care about each other and want to support each other.
Right.
There was recognition and appreciation for helping programs and service providers who help people get health care, housing, food assistance, and shelter.
Okay.
So there's a recognition of the amount of organizations within the community who are putting their efforts into that. And then for law enforcement, appreciation for law enforcement's role in helping people feel safe for keeping us abreast of what is happening, for reaching out to communicate and support the community. So I think that's interesting, as we see violent crime is the biggest concern.
Right.
There's also a recognition that the resources and that law enforcement within our community is really stepping up, and people are feeling supported.
Nice.
So that was really cool to see.
That is interesting to
Yeah.
see. We're showing on the screen some of those positive comments with the Farmington breakdown, rural residents, and then San Juan County overall, and that's
Correct.
kind of what you're talking about. And as we see, helping programs, services, and resources, it was second in Farmington, top though for rural residents and for San Juan County overall. Farmington's top positive answer was parks, trails, and recreation and fitness, which we know if you're in Farmington, the city has a very well-renowned park system.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Of every place, and I've lived in a lot of different places in my life, I think that Farmington has one of the most amazing park systems. They're beautiful, they're well tended, they're well utilized. It is a lovely place.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess that tells the city that the public notices when
The
they
public
see it.
absolutely notices and appreciates it.
Right.
Yeah, the recreational opportunities in this region are amazing.
Right. Very, very true. Very true. And so as we look at that, and I guess as you're able to compare it then, because of the number of respondents that you got, you can kind of break this down into kind of city, rural, county overall.
Yes.
Any other surprises for you as you look at the data? Or is it about trending the way you thought?
It's about trending the way I thought. Yeah, I mean, we like when we dug into, and I'm coming from a social service perspective, and when we dug into the key informant survey component, which are a lot of the providers across the county, the top issue that we noticed was mental health services,
Right.
along with transportation, affordable housing, and substance use services. Those we found were the top priorities for service providers.
Got it. Let me find it here. I think is what we saw that earlier, but here it is, right? This is
Yeah,
what we're talking about
it
here.
is.
And those mental behavioral health services, again, the dark orange is the most noted, and then the gold is second most noted, I guess, right? Or supposed to prioritize first
Yeah.
and second. And so that's kind of where it's coming from, which kind of tracks with what we're seeing in the community with the Mental Wellness Resource Center
Correct.
that the county
Yes.
has been instrumental in opening back during the pandemic year, I think, of
Yes.
2020. There is more talk now and more work to expand some of that and,
Absolutely.
and kind of increase some of those resources that are offered. And I won't let the cat out of the bag just yet, but I know they're working on it.
Absolutely. So there are multiple organizations. So the county with the Mental Wellness Resource Center,
Right.
And other organizations within the community, sort of some of the 100% San Juan initiative, are all working together to create more of a one-stop shop. So it's easier on multiple levels to find the resources that you might be looking for. So you can either find them in person. They're working to increase an understanding of resources online, and finding other ways to reach folks on different levels, maybe developing an app at some point. The county completed their business plan, and are working towards building a crisis triage center to address acute mental health issues in the community.
Right.
So that, all of these pieces are in action right now in order to meet the needs. And I think
Right.
one of the things that was really amazing to see as we came to completion of this document is that we've already started to identify, work on, and address these issues. So the cities across the county itself is like, okay, these are the issues we see, and so this really reiterated
Right.
what's happening and that we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
And that doesn't always align so nicely,
No.
does it?
It does not.
Yeah.
And so I think this is really unusual, that we see a collective interest and a push forward to address some of these concerns.
Right, which is really, really important. And
It
I
is.
guess, too, the idea being, as you mentioned, kind of a one-stop shop would be, instead of just being a resource center, there may be actual services at these locations.
Correct.
So that you don't have to say, let's make you an appointment and expect the person to come back or go to a different location to
Right.
get the services they're looking for. They can just maybe go down the hall
Yeah.
and get those services. And that's
Absolutely.
maybe the other game changer that we're talking
It
about.
is, yeah.
So.
I also want to, I don't want to forget that one of the, we released Farmington specific data a little earlier to the city of Farmington because they were working on their community development block grant application for funding. So we were able to give them as much data as we could that was Farmington specific in order for them to apply for that funding, which again helps with many services around the community, specifically housing, transportation, things of that nature.
Right. I know they use that money in a lot of different ways.
A lot of different ways, and it's really important.
So that is important as well. So very good. My guest this morning, Anna Krutsky, is here. She's Executive Director of the San Juan County Partnership. We are talking about the 2024 needs assessment that was just released by the San Juan County Partnership. It is available on your website.
Correct.
And I know you've been sharing it. You've been doing presentations. County Commission was maybe the most recent one.
It was.
But you're happy to go out and talk to, I guess, other groups if they want
Absolutely.
to learn about this?
Anybody who is interested in having us present about the data and just talk about it, or if individually you want to come in and talk about it, I'm happy to sit down, and some of our staff would be happy to sit down and go over things.
Very good. Now, how helpful is this in the work that the San Juan County Partnership does? Does this help you drive some of the grants or
Absolutely.
Focuses that you are all working on and have been working on?
Absolutely. So, as many people know, some of our biggest priorities are substance use prevention work, and this data is key to informing us about what the needs are in the community and how we can address those. So that was identified as one of the top priorities by key informants and the community as well. So do we have, and this is one of the things that we collectively understand in the community is we do not have enough providers. And so how do we work together to draw more providers to the community? The state is working on some initiatives to do that as well, with loan forgiveness and things of that nature.
And this is
education.
Medical providers, mental health providers,
Both,
all the above?
Both. Okay. Medical and mental health providers. Thank you for catching that. Yes, absolutely. So both. Yeah. So how do we meet the needs by making sure that we have enough providers and enough of the services here in order to meet those needs? So that is one of those things that we are working on right now and addressing at multiple levels. So the partnership focuses specifically on those prevention efforts, and it's a lot of education and things of that nature to help people understand what's out there, what do we need to do. So we continue to work with the schools on issues around adult cannabis and making sure youth are not imbibing early, alcohol issues, which continue to be a significant issue across the county, and vaping issues with younger populations in the community. So it does inform us on those issues so that we can focus on that.
Right.
It also gives us understanding of what are some of the housing issues, and talking to state folks and different organizations to let them know exactly what things look like here and what our needs are. We all know we need more inventory in order to meet housing needs in general. So we work on those things.
And on this graph, just to point this out, housing is third on this list of the priorities for expansion. So I guess that's kind of a forward-looking, what types of things do we want to maybe work towards in the future, right? Number one was the mental behavioral health, as you mentioned. Number two is transportation. And then three is housing. And then we have substance, misuse services, crisis response, and then health services. And employment kind of rounds out that top 6 or so. But transportation, I know, is a big deal.
Transportation is a big deal. Transportation is not something that the partnership necessarily focus on specifically, but the county and the cities are looking at this very closely and trying to figure out how are they going to address this particular topic. So again, it was something that had already been identified as a need, and it's continuing to. Now they have, some ammunition in order to move make some forward momentum.
Right, because I know we've had conversations with the city and the Red Apple Transit, which is one type of transportation service. We live, though, in a geographically gigantic county, and so to try to have a bus service that serves everybody is almost just cost prohibitive. So how do you do it efficiently? How do you get the routes to to get people where they need to get in a timely way. And I guess that's the double-edged sword that they run into when they're trying to put their minds around this thing.
Yeah, and there's a lot of planning that has to go into it, and
Right.
studies that have to go into it in order to make changes to the existing systems. So it's unfortunately a slow-moving process,
Right.
but it has been identified as a community need, and it is being looked at.
Got it. And now, when we look at some of the things that have risen to the top over the years, I'm old enough to remember when DWI was top year
Yes.
after year after year.
Yes.
It has fallen out of the top
We
at least, but
are-
still.
It is still an issue.
Right.
But all of the efforts that we have been making over the years are making a difference. It is slow, but it is slow and steady. So I am thrilled that we are seeing a reduction. Law enforcement has been amazing at partnering with us across the county to support some of this change. And just educating people about DWI issues,
Right.
and it's making a difference. I mean, we see, the getting designated drivers for anybody who is using too much, and establishments really following the rules in the way that they didn't used to.
Right.
And so
True.
that's really there is a long way to go, but it is better.
But I remember a time when, that would be the top issue, and
Yes.
and the news would be filled with crashes and death and injury and just horrible, horrible things that we're grateful,
Yeah.
don't happen anymore, don't seem to be happening anymore. And then I think we got the judges on board
Yes.
to talk about different types of treatment, the 28-day treatment center,
Yes.
all those different things that built on top of some of this public outrage
Yes.
that has helped to maybe push the needle in a positive way.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's really exciting to see. And we do have some great providers in the community who are doing amazing work. Senecor
Right.
and San Juan County's DWI program, they're doing incredible work to really support people who have struggled with this issue. And it is showing a difference.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I guess why I bring that up is to say that, we see these things at the top of the list this year, the violent crime, education, unemployment, and the fact being that, they're at the top of the list, but maybe this is kind of starting to push the needle too, as we start thinking about it and getting everyone on board to do something about these issues, and they do drop off and do get better
Yes.
over time.
Yes, they
which
do.
is encouraging.
Yeah. Right, exactly. This is a long game. None of this happens overnight.
You don't have a magic wand back in your office, do you?
I don't,
Okay.
unfortunately. I wish I did.
Yeah.
But no, it is a slow. It's continued slow, steady work, and the steadiness is paying off.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
And here it is in black and white and color, in data, every 4 years, and we can track it and look at it and see how the community is responding to some of these really important issues. We're
Yeah.
just about out of time. Anna
Okay.
Krutsky, is there anything else we need to share from the needs assessment? I know folks can
gosh.
read it online, you mentioned.
I'm jumping through all of the 5 top things. I think the last thing I want to share
Sure.
is that San Juan County is an incredibly resilient community, and the people are really about supporting one another. And there's an abundance of helping programs, and we have a really strong law enforcement and leadership within the county that are collaborating together to make this the best possible place to live that it could be.
Nice. Well, we're glad to hear that. Glad to see some of these things, and glad to see not just the negative, but also the positive things
So
that this
many good
needs
things
assessment
happening.
talks about.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Stay positive.
Will do.
Okay.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Anna Krutsky, and the work that your organization does each and every year with San Juan County Partnership.
Thank you so much, Scott.
You're welcome. Good to see you. My guest, Anna Krutsky from the Partnership here on KSJE. KSJE and the San Juan College Native American Center present the Student Study Tip of the Week.
Hi, this is Marianne coming to you with your study tip of the week. Switch up your study spots. Studying in the same spot can get tedious, so why not mix it up and get a new perspective on things? College campuses have tons of study spots for students. From the library to the campus lawn to local cafes. Think back to studying with friends and finding an area to set up for an hour or for the day. Take advantage of these study areas, both indoors and outdoors, and give yourself a new view every day.
The Student Study Tip of the Week is presented by the San Juan College Native American Center and KSJE.